It's another tournament in a tea break. It's another late one for me and George. Good evening, George. Good morning, George.
As I say, yeah, we are beyond midnight again, unbelievably. I was expecting to be up at 10:30 tonight, and 2 hours later, here we are.
But why are we here so late?
Well, it's not entirely Conta's fault for once. It was one of those days on Arantxa Sanchez where just every single match seemed to go to 3 sets, and every single match, even if it didn't go to 3 sets, was just incredibly long, dragged out baseline tennis, and it's been a long old day.
It has, and it hasn't helped that it's been quite a stormy day as well. We had like thunderstorms and enough to knock out the outside court, so Kyle was a little late as well. But let's start with Kyle. Yeah. It was a very impressive turnaround from him. Maybe a bit nervous in the early stages. He looked a little bit touchy.
Yeah, I thought Medvedev started a lot more solid of the two. Kyle, as he said in his post-match conferences, he was very keen to just hang in there, keep himself alive early on.
Atención, rueda de prensa de Garbiñe Muguruza, ahora. Gracias.
Just in case you wondered.
Attention, please.
Oh, hang on.
Conference with Garbiñe Muguruza right now. Thank you.
Funny story, while we were waiting for Joe, Garby walked past us and saw us and was like, oh guys, I'm really sorry, you're just going to have to wait for me a little bit, I need to go and get treatment. We didn't have the heart to actually sort of say, well, we're not actually waiting for you, but anyway, I digress. Yeah, so he hung in.
He was hanging in there, and he said that was part of his tactic because he'd not played enough, he'd not had enough time to practice here because he'd been such a quick rush over that he just really needed to stick close to Medvedev early on, and then by the time he'd settled, he would race through and win.
And he certainly did.
He did, and I was
very
pleasantly
impressed.
Surprised, really. I mean, Medvedev wasn't great beyond the first set, but Kyle should take a lot of heart from that, and he's got a really, really intriguing matchup with Djokovic now.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite interesting because obviously Djokovic leads their head-to-head 3-love. They've all been on hard courts, but as Kyle mentioned, at the time that he played Djokovic, it was when he was at his peak, at his most invincible, and at Djokovic's best. That being said, I do think that Edmund needs to bring his best tennis out to get that win. But I think Djokovic is vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle was pretty nonchalant about talking about Djokovic, which made me chuckle. I mean, it could prove to be the worst possible time to play Djokovic if that match with Nishikori was the moment where he suddenly sparks back into a brilliant run. But if it wasn't, we've seen him lose to people like Taro Daniel, Benoit Paire, more recently Martin Klizan. I mean, this is a guy who can lose, and Edmund is a guy who proved last year he can push Rafa on clay.
What actually impressed me was when he sort of said, I myself have had a pretty good start this year. I mean, he's so understated, but, he's got to fancy his chances tomorrow. He really does.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a really interesting match. I'd still back Djokovic, personally.
I think he'll take a set off him, though, for sure. I suspect he'll take the first set off him.
It's a very different match for Djokovic than Nishikori. Kyle will throw the kitchen sink at him on that serve and forehand, and Djokovic will have to defend a lot more than he necessarily might have had to against Nishikori. I think there'll be less slugging and more Kyle trying to dictate, which could really favour him on clay.
Yeah. Obviously, we have one British success, as you might have gathered by the tone of our weariness. We've just come back from talking to Joe Conta, who sadly lost again to Bernarda Pera, who is proving to be a bit of a nemesis for her, I think. Although she was, to be fair, she was in pretty good graces. It wasn't the worst we've seen her play. It wasn't the best we've seen her play, but this isn't exactly her best surface. She felt that actually she hadn't done a lot wrong, apart from the odd framing into the sky of a few wayward shots at key moments. Joe's always one of these people that will always come at you with the positive from her match, and that quickly afterwards, I was actually quite impressed with how sort of easygoing she was. I've interviewed her before when she's lost, and she's been a lot harder on herself.
Yeah, she actually has shifted my own perspective on the match by being so cheery about it.
You feel really bad now for all your ranting and raving during the
swearing and cursing at this match, keeping me here beyond midnight, and I was furious, as Ros will attest. But Pera, as Conta did say, and it was fair enough, I was thinking back on these points as Konta was saying it. Every breakpoint chance Konta did create, Perra served brilliantly.
Yeah.
And that is frustrating. You know, when you're setting up breakpoint chances, you hope you'll get at least one where you get a sniff, and it didn't really feel like she had that tonight.
I mean, at one stage I turned around to you and said, how is it possible that she's down a break when Konta's serving percentage is 7.75 and Perra's serving percentage is 45? But that's exactly the key, that when it really counted, she got those serves in.
Yeah.
Whereas, as we know, when Konta's game is on, when Konta's serve is on, the rest of her game falls in place. But I think this is where she just got upended. But it's not all over for her. She is actually still in the doubles. And I think the more clay that she gets in her toes, the better I think she'll be when she gets to Rome. She's only got one round to defend in Rome.
Yeah.
Or two, actually. She made it to the second round, I think, last year. She's got nothing to defend, really, in Roland Garros. So anything that she does pick up is a bonus.
She's definitely got nothing to defend in Roland Garros, that's for sure.
But interestingly enough, while she was playing, the news obviously broke that Andy Murray may have to delay his comeback. He doesn't seem to be ready for Wimbledon, which basically means bye-bye Ross Marlin and Queens as well. And we did ask her about it, and she, on the one hand, she handled it quite well, seeing as we just threw it at her, that, she realises how frustrated he is, and that she wishes him all the best. But I've been quite impressed in the way that both Kyle and Konta have worn the mantle, especially over the last 6 months or so, of carrying British hopes. And it'll be a real test for Kyle, I think, to see how he handles it. More than Joe, I think.
Yeah, I mean...
She's had a good run. It'll be new for Kyle.
Yeah, they're two players who... Konta less so, because she was kind of stepping up when Murray was a bit more on the scene, but Kyle's really stepped up and played his best tennis since Andy's been gone. I'm not saying that's because Andy's gone, it's just coincidental that, Kyle's coming of age a little bit more, but... Yeah. I think the British public will see a different Kyle Edmund this summer. It's a shame grass isn't his best surface in many ways, but he improved a lot last year. I think he's got a bit more about him. He'll be seeded this year, which does help. I see Kyle becoming a bit more of a Tim Henman figure in that sense than a Murray at Wimbledon.
For sure.
But it's good to have someone to get behind, and hopefully the British public can really G them on.
Yeah. Okay. What else happened for us today?
What else happened? So Simona Halep was fabulous.
Yeah, I'm really beginning to not see any more past Halep now for the title here.
Yeah, she was absolutely splendid. And as my other pick went out, I think I'd...
But what a match that was.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an incredible match. We're talking obviously about Elena Svitolina and Carla Suarez Navarro. And I mean, if there's ever an epitome of leaving it all out on the court, if you look that up in the dictionary, it'll say Suarez Navarro. I mean, she was down, she was out, she was all over, literally down and out, and still managed to win that match. And the emotion was just, palpable.
Yeah, and I had one-on-one with Svitolina in the end after that match, which I must say I wasn't particularly looking forward to when I was heading over to it, because I thought, bloody hell, that was such a tough loss.
Do you want to admit the fact that you'd actually turned around to me and said, God, whoever's got a win-lose for that is going to really have a hard time, and then you
and then realised it was me, so that was good. But no, to be fair, Svitolina was really, really nice after that match. She, there were kind of tears in her eyes a little bit, but she spoke really emotively. She was really kind of happy with herself in many ways of how she played.
She didn't do much
she
wrong,
didn't do a lot
fair.
wrong. And, the emotions of that sort of match, you can see how much it means to these guys. And it was a really nice chat, actually. I haven't had the chance to write it up and put it out, so that you can look forward to that tomorrow. But yeah, I did really feel for her as well, because, as we said, she didn't do a lot wrong. And sometimes when you're in the cauldron, in the Spanish cauldron, someone like Suarez Navarro can just be lifted by that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Although I think she was
shushing them as well. But
right. I'm going to try and figure out who's playing where tomorrow.
So we've got Novak Djokovic and Kyle Edmund on Manolo Santana, following Halep.
Well, that'll be really quick then.
So we'll see them relatively early, and then after Djokovic Edmund, we've got Rafael Nadal, Gael Monfils. Now Monfils was very entertaining. When I spoke to him yesterday, he was saying, I'm not fit at all, I'm going to lose this, essentially, which, that's the spirit. Gael, he was pretty much like,
It's like hashtag OGIL, reusable tweet.
He's like, yeah, I need to be aggressive and win this match, but I know Rafa won't let me do that. And the reality is, I can't last more than a few games if Rafa plays how he wants to play, and I know he's going to play like that. I'm like, all right, cheers, Gael. I can't wait to watch that.
I mean, and the other thing, of course, we'll see is the number 2 seed, Alexander Zverev, will be taking to the court. He's I mean, if there's the epitome of flying under the radar, we've not seen hide nor hair of him, so it'll be interesting to see.
He avoided Tsitsipas today, of course, which was a good result for him, I think, to avoid that match. Tsitsipas, funnily enough, tweeted after his defeat to the ATP World Tour, asking if anyone had ever failed to break someone with as many chances as he had. I think he got 1 out of 20 today, so that was tough for him, but great couple of weeks for him and really promising, and probably just needs a bit of a rest as much as anything. And the Donskoy killer goes on.
Okay, well, I think we ought to wrap it up there.
We'll get too delirious.
Yeah, I think
once you're into Donskoy territory, you know it's a problematic night.
So hopefully we'll be back tomorrow with a roundup of how Rafa is looking in these stormy conditions.
Spoiler alert, he's looking very good and he's going to win this tournament.
You've been listening to a slightly delirious Ros Satar
and George Bellshaw.